So happy to have you here talking with us at the Culturelist. Big fan of your work. I've been following you for a while, and I was looking forward to listening to your new single, which came out last week. I think it was Friday, wasn't it? It's been a week.
hmm Almost a
Yeah,
week, yeah.
almost a week. How are you feeling? How has the response been since it's been out?
I feel great. First of all, thank you for having me. I was so flattered that you reached out, and I'm excited to speak with you. I like your writing a lot, so this was
Thanks.
really cool. Yeah, no, I'm very grateful. I'm an independent artist. I'm not signed to anybody. I don't have a label. I mean, there's a label that distributes my work, but that's by no means similar at all to having a label backing you. And I don't have management, so this whole journey has pretty much been solo dolo.
Mm.
Obviously with the support of some incredible people, but with all those things considered, I'm very grateful for the response. Everything has been super organic. Everybody's been so supportive. I feel like I've been the most consistent that I've ever been in promoting a piece of work that I've made. So all in all, it feels successful to me. I'm grateful.
It's really intense being an independent artist because you don't have just the luxury of being like, right, I'm just going to work on my music and my lyrics and my album and my sound. It's also thinking, I guess, 360 in terms of marketing and money and all this kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't make that choice lightly to decide to be fully independent, but what are the perks for you about being an independent artist?
I mean, I would say it's not a choice. Like I would honestly rather be signed. I know a lot of people really advocate for the independent route, which I completely understand and like respect. But I think for me, I mean, my dream situation is to work with an independent label who believe in my music and who are willing to fund it because honestly, sometimes like what you really need to blow up is like money or somebody backing you. Like it helps to have a strategist. It helps to have somebody who's an expert in social media on your team. It helps to have like an in-house videographer who's like always available to like shoot content for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of the artists that you see blowing up have those teams. And like it appears as though they've blown up organically, but really there's like a lot of work going on behind the scenes to help, propel them. And that's not to say that you can't do it on your own. There's many people who have, which is incredible. But yeah, so it wasn't so much, it's not so much of a choice as I don't think anyone's been interested yet.
That's insane
And
to me that you say that no one's been interested in yet. Like to me, you have such a unique, interesting sound. You have really important things to say. So to me, it's like a missed opportunity.
I
For,
appreciate that. That's very kind.
mm,
Um, yeah, I don't know what it is. I just like, all in due time. I believe in God very strongly, and I believe like things are will work out the way that they're meant to. And I mean, the perks of it, to go back to your question, is I definitely have full creative freedom and control over everything that I'm doing, which I love. I love that I have to kind of just like listen to myself. It's like kind of being an entrepreneur. I'm sure you know this. Like you have your own working hours. You have to get yourself up out of bed and like do the things you need to do, and no one's going to tell you what to do or not to do. So, although there's freedom in that, it's a double-edged sword and there's obviously like a lot of responsibility.
yeah.
So, but I think I enjoy rising up to the challenge. So, yeah.
So let's talk about your new single, Love is a Gun. So to me, that is such a loaded title, right? It's
Mhm.
violent, it's a bit romantic, not a bit, it's romantic and violent and all at once. And I'm wondering for you, what was the emotional territory that you were trying to map with this track, it being the first
Mhm.
single from your next body of work?
Thank you. So Dream Girl is the title of the single, and Love as a
Oh,
Gun
yes, is the
is the
album.
title of the
Sorry.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And Love as a Gun is the title of the project, and I love that question. Thank you for touching on that because this is like the first time that I'm really like delving into the theme of like love and romance and relationships in my music. I've kind of touched on it before here and there, but this is the first time I'm kind of like going in. And Love as a Gun to me is exploring the dichotomy between vulnerability and violence. And I don't mean violence in the literal sense of the word, as in like hitting and you know what
Mm,
I mean, like mean words, more so the energy of it, the energy of like toxicity and having your guard up and feeling very defensive and also feeling um just like projecting a lot, you know what I mean? And that's something that was a pattern in relationships that I had. It was there was a lot of defense mechanisms and coping mechanisms and a lot of projection of fears and insecurities also intermingled with like heavy infatuation and deep love and unconditional love and caring. So it's a very interesting place. And anybody who's been in a very toxic relationship can tell you that the highs are very high and the lows are very low. And so this is what that project is exploring. And Dream Girl, the first chapter of it, is as I've said, like an introduction to the protagonist of that story. It's a woman, a girl, a person, a being who like however the listener kind of relates to that character who has everything going for her, but still feels lonely and still feels like she needs something more outside of herself. And I think that's where a lot of toxic relationships are born and
Mm,
feeling like not enough and just completely submitting to somebody else, regardless of how that affects you.
mm. I think that's such a great way to put it, the way you say that it's a chapter to the bigger story. And also the fact that this character, this heroine, um, the way you describe her as having, everything, but she still feels she wants more. I think that's so interesting because I feel like it's a very common theme for people in our generation,
Mm.
who, no matter where you live, in the West or in the East, most of us are very privileged, but there's still this feeling that we're not enough or that there needs to be more. And I think it's probably magnified with women, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Much more. So for
Mhm.
you, how difficult is it, challenging is it as an artist that you're writing this song and it's coming from somewhere from personal experiences, but also you want to make it universal? How do you balance those two in a single so that it feels authentic to you and it's
Mhm.
also received by lots of different people? Like, what is that process like?
That's a really good question. I'll be honest, I don't really, and this is perhaps why I'm like not exactly where I'd like to be yet, but I don't really think about making things accessible to other people or relatable to other people. I really just like am diving deep into my own experiences and whoever relates, relates, you know what I mean? And the
Mm,
only reason I function that way is because I feel like the second I start thinking about how someone else is going to relate to this or receive it, all confidence and like my own creative ability goes out the window because I'm overthinking every line, I'm overthinking every melody and like every, structure. And there is one song on the project that I did do that with. And it's the title track of the project. So the song is called Love as a
mm,
Gun. And the only reason I did it with that is because the I think the production already allowed so much for it. And I kind of went into it thinking like I'll be honest, it kind of sounded like a song SZA would sing on. So I
mm,
was like, okay, if this is a beat that SZA could sing on. How would she sing on it? How would she like, you know what I mean? And we know SZA is like the most is a master at sharing her own experiences in a way
mm.
that's very authentic to her to the point where some people like don't even understand what she's saying or her lyrics, but like we also deeply feel her and deeply relate. So I did that with that song, but not really with any of the other songs on the project because yeah, I didn't feel called to for those, if that makes sense.
So, would it be accurate to say that your loyalty is to the storytelling first, more
Yeah,
than to the,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And
that's
in a way that makes sense for me, you
mm,
know? Hmm.
it's really amazing because I always ask artists, not just singers, but writers and artists, painters, and how they think about the viewer or the audience. And some of them say like I think about them all the time, and others say like no, I don't even they don't even come into my field of
Yeah.
vision. I'm so locked in with. So it's just interesting to me
Mhm.
how different artists create.
Approach. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think there's like benefits and maybe um hits in like both approaches. I would love to try the other approach for sure. I would love to like have a project where I'm like, this is for the people and I really want nothing of my own DNA to be in this kind of thing. So that's interesting. Maybe one day in the future.
So when it comes to that storytelling and you're like dedicated to the story, how do you ever self-censor? Are you ever like, oh, okay, like maybe I should disguise this part a bit more, or do you just lay it all bare?
No, I lay it all bare and it's like really it's kind of scary. There's some songs in this so like also transparently in this project, I make a lot of like um illusions and there's a lot of double entendres and it's like it's all points to like being very transparent with intimacy.
Hmm.
And as a Muslim Arab woman, that's like scary territory to be in because it's like, oh, like first of all, in our culture, it's almost taboo to like even openly have a relationship, let alone openly being intimate and being okay with sharing that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I don't censor myself because the way that I see it is if I'm telling myself I can't say something to uphold traditional values, I'm almost buying into the shame around those topics and the shame around being comfortable with yourself as a woman and having autonomy as a woman. And I'm thinking, if I'm doing that, how can I tell, a younger girl or somebody who's listening to me, or you know what I mean? How can I
Hmm.
in the face and tell them, be yourself? Sorry. I need to put my thing on Do Not Disturb.
Okay.
Um, sorry. How can I tell somebody to be themselves and unapologetically if I'm not practicing that?
Mm.
So I don't censor myself, and I may regret it one day, but right now that's what feels right.
And like, so if we just go down that tangent a bit more about, your roots, your background, your Sudanese, Egyptian, also Iranian roots, grew up in the US from what and no, grew up all over, but you were born in Virginia, but you've been all over, right?
Mhm.
So that's a very eclectic mix of backgrounds and experiences and cultures. Um, I'm wondering whether you feel that that as a songwriter particularly gives you an advantage where you're able to sort of, since you're not fully immersed in maybe one particular culture, you can sort of be objective but also have a foot in. And so it helps you to sort of see different perspectives while having your own. Would you see that? Would you say that's accurate? And
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. And I think it's like that um ability to like adapt and observe and like perceive without maybe being like consumed by one thing over another is definitely an advantage that's come from like living in a bunch of different countries and experiencing different cultures and having the privilege to travel. And I wouldn't say it manifests directly into my music in the sense
Mhm.
of I'm not necessarily using Arab beats only or like only using Western beats. I think there's just like a bunch of elements of different things in the music. Obviously, primarily Western. That's
Mhm.
just what I grew up on, and that's what
Mhm.
I understand. Like, I really think, especially with music, people forget that there's like so much nurture involved and even how you create. So like if I'm growing up listening mostly to Western melodies and Western song structure, that's like permeated in my brain and that's how I'm gonna express myself. And
Yeah.
then a lot of artists, they grew up with Arabic music and it's super easy for them to like slip into the Arabic scale, you know what I mean? Or like sing in that scale because that's just what they know. So yeah, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
That does answer the question. Um, I wonder as well whether sometimes it feels like, because this is always an interesting conversation I have with Arab artists, the ones that who grew up in the West and even the ones that who grew up in the Middle East, where they're just like, look, I am Arab. I relate
Mhm.
to that, but I just don't want to be known just as that like Arab artist, Does that, but then sometimes they're like, well, but I also want the freedom to be like, when I do feel like it, I do want to be known as an Arab artist. It just really depends. So I'm wondering
Mhm.
how you approach that. Do you like the label? Do you like the box? Do you not like it? Do you not see it that way? What's your approach with that?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. For me personally, I don't like it at all.
Oh, okay.
Um, at all. Well, only because I just hate being boxed in
Mm,
regardless. If somebody was to call me just a rapper, I'd hate it. If they were to just call me a singer, I'd hate it. Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
label that limits me, I rebuke, I reject, I don't want it. You know what I mean?
Be
I'm
gone.
very, yeah, I be gone. I'm very proud to be Sudanese. I'm very proud to represent in any shape, way, or form the culture, and I'm
Mhm.
very proud to be part of that community. So proud of my peers. I don't want a solely Arab audience. I want to travel, I want to tour the world. I want all humans from all walks of life to be able to listen to my music and relate. I
Mm,
want to be a household name, not just in an Arab household, but like
mm,
for me it's just about like being a bridge. You know what I mean? Like, I don't find it interesting to speak on what I know to people who already know that experience only. It's cool because it's like we both get it. I think it's also cool to speak on my experiences to people who don't understand at all. And maybe now, because they know, listen to my music, they know a little bit more about Sudan, or they know a little bit more about like the Arabic language or the culture? So, yeah, I just like I don't know. That's how I feel about that. And in the last few years, everyone's been telling me like focus on the Arab audience, focus on the Arab audience. And like I see definitely the strategy in that, but I just don't know if it's conducive for my art.
mm.
Yeah.
Storyteller first, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I really commend you for that because you have to feel like it's easy to get bogged down with these, not bogged down. It's easy to see yourself in the prism of how others see you. I think especially if you're living in the West and
Mm.
as a person of color, an Arab person, and sometimes you're just seen as that. And
Hmm.
so, but you are that, and you're also more than that. We all are, right? So I think it's great that that you are sort of looking outside of that. So that's very cool.
Absolutely. Everybody contains multitudes, and I think like social media and the algorithm
Mm,
has made people feel like because that's what the algorithm is, right? It categorizes. And so it makes us feel like we have to fit into categories and fit into certain niches to reach those audiences. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you have people saying like, I'm an Arab artist, this is an Arabic song, and it's just like, yeah, I think it's like social media has definitely negatively impacted like the way we create because now we feel like we need to create in boxes. Like
yeah,
if my
niches.
song is not niches, if my song is not multilingual and a specific genre or two that I can point out, then it's not going to do well and I'm not going to understand how to market it.
Yeah. What I
Yeah.
really like about you and what I've noticed about you is your work ethic. And I think when it comes to social media, it doesn't matter how many labels people try and put on you, it's about consistency. And I feel like you're a very consistent person. You're always posting and you're very like approachable where you're like, this is weird, but I'm gonna just say this, like, my song's coming out in a couple of days or whatever. So I want to know what is it that drives you? Why is it that you are doing this all the time, every day? You're going on there on social, and what is it that drives you with your music?
I'm trying to get out the hood. I'm trying to get out the hood. I'm trying to make a living off of my music. I'm trying to be worldwide, like, and you don't get that. And thank you, by the way. I think that's like a very high compliment and I'm so flattered. I don't see it. I actually think I'm like so okay, no, I don't want to like reinforce negative affirmations.
Manifestation,
I know. I could be doing more. And I'd like to be doing more. And yeah. Like I said, I am the most consistent I've been ever so far, which I'm proud of. But there's more work to be done.
Mm. It always feels like there's more work to be done, but I think every now and then it's good to be like, oh, look, I've done this much work. I'm good.
Sure,
I'm cool. Give myself a pat
for
on the
sure,
back.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, This is an interesting question that I wanted to ask you. Who are your cultural ghosts, or ancestors? So, like from a musical
Mm.
perspective, or literary perspective, or even political, that you feel are sort of there in the room with you when
Mm.
you're working on music, whether it's writing lyrics or it's like listening to melodies or creating melodies with someone. So, is there anybody there in the back of your head?
Absolutely. I think like when I'm in my political bag, I'm thinking about Lauryn Hill for
Mm,
sure. And like, I just think about like the grit and like the fervor with which she rapped and like delivered her bars. It was like with conviction. You believe her and you could hear her disgust of society and like you could really hear how she felt. So she's somebody I definitely channel when I'm in my neo soul kind of like spiritual observing the world bag. I'm like thinking about Erykah Badu and how like she was just so unapologetically like abstract with her lyrics and her concepts and like just like really said what she felt without worrying if it made sense to anybody else. Like
mm,
I always think about her song On and On, and
mm.
I'm just like, how do you even come up with something like that? Or like didn't like she was able to extrapolate really high level concepts into like the most beautiful, simple lyrics and like metaphors. And I
Yeah.
think that's cool. So she's somebody to think about a lot. When I'm in my like love R&B bag, I think about SZA or Doja Cat. Um, I love Doja's flow. I love how she talks about things. I love how SZA talks about things. I love how she uses her words and how she enunciates, I think is like really interesting. So there's so many artists. Oh, and then also sometimes I try to channel Kendrick sometimes. He's really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of artists where I'm like, I like to sit in their energy as well as my
Mm,
own because I think when you admire something and it's been done at such a high level, it's like you can't do anything but help and like, you know what I mean? Take
yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah. And I think also it's challenging, or maybe a fun exercise when you're an artist that you're influenced by so many people to be like, I want to influence, but I don't want that to seep too much into my own voice and finding
Right.
that combination, right? It's also finding your voice can also be
Mhm.
challenging. Yeah.
I like for me, my goal, like I really I feel like I failed if somebody can hear my song and be like, oh, that's this artist,
Mm,
because then it's like, oh, then it's just like a copy and paste, But I
mm,
think it's like, oh, I hear a little bit of this, I hear a little bit of that, I hear a little bit of that. That's when I'm like, okay, cool. So
yeah.
like there's still some ambiguity, which means that it's really just me, but with influence from different energies.
And I know before you were saying you don't like it if someone just says you're just a rapper or a singer and you do both. What is when does it feel right to rap versus when it feels right to sing when you're writing lyrics? Does something just be
That's
like,
such,
oh, this, huh?
that's an incredible question.
Yeah, thanks. Like, does sometimes you write something you're like, oh, I'm definitely gonna rap this. Like, there's no way I can sing this, or and vice versa.
It's really like just the energy of like the moment and like the beat. And yeah, I don't know. It's like it really just happens in the moment. It's not like a decision. It's not like I sit down and I'm like, right now I'm gonna write a rap song. Or like, well,
Mm,
sometimes I to be fair, sometimes I'm like, I want to rap, and then like I will find like the grimiest beat and like try to rap on that. But mostly it's just like what is it, what's calling me here? And whatever it is what I try to do.
mm. So it's like instinct and something that's not really
Intuitive.
explainable, really.
For sure. But also, that being said, there's been times where like I've written something and it's been rap. And I look at it and I'm like, nah, this is like, I should sing this. And
Mm,
I'll just take out like a bunch of bars and then it becomes like a song and I'm singing it instead. Yeah, it's like different. Yeah. This is what I love about creating though, is like there's no, you know what I mean? Like you're a writer,
mm.
I'm sure you relate. You sit down and you're not like, okay, I'm gonna start this with a short sentence or a long sentence. Like you just like whatever it calls for happens, and then it's either like, wow, this is amazing, or it's like, you know what, this is cool, but I'm gonna edit this for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely think that sometimes the thing you're creating just has a life of its own. You'll be like, right, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be like this, and then it just takes on this thing and you look back and you're like, what the hell? Did I really make that up? Or did it just come through me from somewhere else? It's really interesting.
I think everything comes through you. I think like subhanAllah that it's called creativity, creation. and we have like our creator who's like created us. Like
Mm,
I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's like a higher energy that you channel,
mm,
and depending on where you're at in life or like you channel things differently, but like it's the same energy source.
yeah. Um, so the last question I wanted to ask from this portion of the interview is if your new album
Mhm.
was archived as a cultural document 50 years from now, what would you
Mhm.
want like listeners or scholars to say it captured about like this moment right now, about you or about the world?
Ooh. Um, I'm wary of calling it an album, by the way, because I haven't
Okay.
made an album yet, which is like a big deal. So I'll call it an EP.
EP.
But
Okay.
yeah, which is and it's like 7 songs, so it's like yeah. But man, I don't know. I really can't answer that question. That's heavy. I don't know. I really hope like I mean, if it was to let's say it was boxed up, the CD or in vinyl or whatever was like boxed up and put in a museum, and there was like a little caption underneath it. Nadine El Roubi was here. That's really it. I can't, yeah, I can't spin any lore about
Yeah.
how I would want it to be remembered.
Cool. I mean, there's never a wrong or right answer with these things. This is why I like what I like about it. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about lists. I mean, I love lists, so I always think it's easier sometimes to come up with like a very profound answer sometimes and just give a bunch of names. So,
Mhm.
first one, can you list, and you sort of probably already answered this question in some way, but can you list three albums that shaped you as an artist? You don't even have to tell me why. You can just
Oh,
say,
for sure. Ultraviolence, by Lana Del Rey, Damn by Kendrick Lamar, and Control by SZA.
"Hmm, okay. Um, List three songs that make you feel like, whoa, someone actually wrote this. And what I mean by that is, have you ever seen The Godfather?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies of all
Yeah.
time.
So Steven Spielberg once said that whenever he watches the Godfather, which was by Francis Ford Coppola, he just feels like I'm paraphrasing here. He just feels like a shit director. Like, how can I direct when this movie exists? So I wonder if
Oh,
there's three songs that you're like, wait, this running thing is coming out. That you're like, whoa, like somebody wrote this. I can't believe this is exists in the world.
songs, yeah, that's a really good one.
If you can't think of three, it's fine. If there's just one, that's cool.
No, I can think of like 10. But I'll start with three. I think Didn't You Know by Erica Badu. I'm always like, bro, every time I hear it, I'm like, now that's a song. That's a motherfucking tune. So that one for sure. Um, I hear Snooze and I'm like, yeah, like so good. It's like insane. Um, and then what's another one? Hmm. Oh, Agora Hills by Doja Cat. Like any song that makes me mad is like that song makes me mad because I'm like, how do you even come up with those melodies, like those like the different like character voices that she had? Like it's just such a good song.
Mm.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
Um, okay, list three moments in your career thus far that felt like a turning point. They don't have to be big milestones. Just some three moments where you're like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. This feels right.
Mhm. Releasing my first EP, Triplicity, in 2022. Um, I think when I got the a Rolling Stone feature in like 2023 or 2024, that was like a huge moment. And that was the same year that SZA shared one of my songs.
I
So
remember saying that, yeah.
I'm gonna put those two in one. And then I would say getting booked at Seoul in Dubai, I think 2024. Yeah, last year was also a big deal.
Cool. Can you list um three contradictions? that you hold close that you think are, are okay?
Hmm. Incredible. It's okay. How do I put this? As long as you're honest with yourself, it's okay to not be the most honest.
I love that.
Obviously that's different in different situations,
Mm.
but that's like something I think of honest often. Um, it's okay to be competitive and want to be the best. It's not okay to want to be the better than other people. Or
Hmm.
it's okay to want to be better than other people. It's also not okay to want to be better than
Mm.
other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I get you.
And then that's all I got, honestly.
That's good. That's
Those
amazing.
are, those are really the two that I live by.
This hopefully is an easier one. List three places in the world that feel like a version of home. Doesn't have to be, it could be in a chair, or it could be an actual city or whatever.
God, I love that so much. Cairo for sure. Um, New York and London. Obviously, this is all outside of Khartoum, my actual
Mm,
home, but those feel like versions of home because just like memories tied to them and stuff.
mm. So for the last one, list three dreams that still feel just out of reach, but they're not impossible.
Hmm. Acting,
Oh yeah.
being in a movie or like a TV show is, by the way, my ultimate dream. And I keep telling people, cast me. But and it's like it's so frustrating because I've almost been in so many things and like I've almost had so many opportunities and they slip away and I'm like, oh, but one day, me and the
Yeah.
screen, I have faith.
I believe it'll
Um,
happen. I can fully see it. I can fully see.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can really.
Appreciate that. Writing a book.
Mm,
Always wanted to write a book. Still plan to. It's gonna take time, but I'm gonna get there.
mm.
Um, and having my shit together.
It's everyone's dream.
Right there, but it's so far.